Hey, all my couples and even some of y'all singles out there. Welcome back to Hearts Wine from Hearts Distractions, the place where we uncork real talk about love's messiness, beauty, and yes, those weird moments you definitely can't post on Instagram. I'm your host, Alicia Minor Gaines, marriage and family therapist who's licensed, of course, relationship coach, mixologist on the weekends, and a concierge of juicy questions. Picture this. You're tidying the bedroom because company's coming and we all have that one chaotic chair. When you notice your spouse's nightstand has a little drawer, nothing new, except today it's locked. Tiny silver keyhole. No key in sight. You pause. Your heartbeat starts to race. You dig what I'm throwing down here? Do you ask, where's the key? Or do you just shrug your shoulders and say, it's probably their old passport and move on? That's in the drawer. But what if you never find out what's in that locked drawer? That, my friends, is today's vintage. Secrets in marriage. Are they ever harmless, or are they silent termites chewing the foundation of trust? Before we swirl this glass of wine, a quick cheers to our listeners in over 42 countries. Yes, I said 42 countries we have hit. So that's something to applaud. And if you're new, hit that follow button because every Wednesday we drop relationship wisdom. Unfiltered, culturally inclusive, and sometimes delightfully controversial. And I know some of y'all are thinking, well, Alicia, you didn't put out anything the past 2 Wednesdays. But if some of y'all caught my TikTok video, y'all would know why, because I was celebrating my birthday. And yes, sometimes you have to take time out for you. And for those who know me personally, and some of y'all that are getting to know me through this podcast, know that I love to celebrate my birthday, and it is a national holiday for me. And if you don't do that for your birthday, I'm definitely encouraging you to do that, because whether you're single, dating, engaged, married, you still have to find ways to celebrate you. And I definitely did that those past 2 weeks. And trust me, I will be moving full gear, moving forward, dropping new episodes. So no worries. We're going to keep moving, right? All right. So, the question I have is, are you ready? Because I need y'all to take some deep breaths for this episode today, because we are going to unlock that drawer today while we sip on our wine. So, let's get nerdy for a second, but like fun nerdy, right? So the Oxford Dictionary says a secret is something kept unknown or unseen by others. Privacy, on the other hand, is a state in which one is not observed. Subtle difference, but huge impact. According to a 2024 Pew survey, 85% of adults keep digital passwords hidden from their partners, yet only 32% label that as a secret. Interesting, right? Here's the story. Let's call this couple Tori and Malik, who are in their late 20s. They've been dating for 2 years. But Malik journals every morning. Tori peeks, hoping for sweet poems. Instead, she finds nothing scandalous, just his private prayers. She feels guilty, but begs the question, was she violating privacy or revealing a secret? Have you ever blurred that line? If you have, or if you've thought about it, jump into my Instagram DM and tell me all about it. Or you can always comment on an Instagram or TikTok reel that I will post about this episode, and you can put your comments underneath that too, right? And what I want you to do is I want you to rank locked phone on a scale from healthy privacy to red flag secrecy. Okay. Dr. Anita Vangelisti, hope I pronounced that right, communication scholar, reminds us that privacy management is crucial. Couples who negotiate boundaries openly report 23% higher relationship satisfaction. So maybe the combo matters more than the lock. I'm gonna leave that one there for y'all to think about while I add this, because I know somebody listening right now is in their feelings about privacy. And I get it. We've been conditioned, especially as women, queer folks, and folks of color, to justify invasiveness in the name of love. So let's look at a few common myths about secrets and privacy in relationships and debunk them together, shall we? All right. Myth number 1. If you're hiding it, it must be wrong. But in reality, not all concealed things are unethical. Sometimes we process in private because we're still healing. That's not secrecy, that's self-care. Myth number 2. Love means full access, no passwords, no filters. But in reality, love also means trust. If you demand transparency because you don't trust them, that's not intimacy, that's control. Password sharing is a personal boundary, not a moral requirement, people. Myth number 3. If I tell them the truth, it'll hurt them. But in reality, maybe. But withdrawing the truth often creates deeper wounds, especially when they find out later. And trust me, what's done in the dark, said in the dark, always comes to light. Myth number 4. It's not a secret if they never ask. But in reality, intentional omission is still secrecy. Silence doesn't erase impact. Okay. And myth number 5. All privacy is disconnection. But in reality, privacy helps maintain individual identity inside a collective relationship. And without identity, we don't have intimacy, people. We have fusion. All right, let me bring this home for y'all. We're going to call this couple Sam and Elijah, who have been together for 3 years. And Sam was open with his past, former addiction, financial mistakes, a few toxic exes. Elijah, on the other hand, kept most things close to the chest, if y'all know what I mean. When Sam finally asked why Elijah never talked about his family, Elijah replied, "Because if I did, I'd have to explain why I still send money to my mom behind your back, and then you judge me." Y'all, in therapy, Elijah broke down. The secret wasn't about the money. It was about shame, loyalty, and fear of judgment from someone he loved. The result? Well, no, they didn't break up, but they did have a breakthrough. All right, just wanted to put that out there for y'all. So this is one I use with couples struggling with boundaries versus secrecy, and we call it the 3-column exercise. So column 1 is things I believe are my private space. Examples of that would be journaling, solo hobbies, and any alone time that you have for yourself. Column 2 are things I don't share because I'm afraid of their reaction. And examples of that are like finances, family tension, sexuality, and any mental health struggles. And column 3 are things I know I should share, but haven't yet. And these are things such as recent contact with an ex, hidden debts, and medical diagnosis. And I want y'all to ask yourselves, what do I want to protect? And what am I trying to avoid? The difference, that's where the secret lies. Right? Okay, so now that we've untangled the difference between privacy and secrecy, let's go even deeper, shall we? We're not just talking about what we hide, we're talking about why we hide it. Let me ask you something raw. Have you ever kept something to yourself and said, "It's not that I'm lying, I just don't want to deal with the reaction"? That moment right there, people, that's where the psychology of withholding begins. And take it from me as a therapist, I know all about it. When you keep a secret, especially one tied to fear, shame, or even vulnerability, your brain literally treats it like a a survival threat. A study from Columbia University by Dr. Michael Slepian found that people who keep ongoing secrets experience the following: increased intrusive thoughts, higher levels of anxiety and depression, and decreased life satisfaction and relationship satisfaction. Why? Because the brain treats secrecy like a cognitive load. You're juggling multiple versions of reality: one you live in, one you present to your partner, and one you fear might explode if the truth ever leaks out. That kind of mental gymnastics isn't just exhausting, it is emotionally expensive. Let's break it down into emotional categories, shall we? 1. The guilt-driven secret. This is where you cheated, you overspent, you made a promise you didn't keep, you feel ashamed, and shame tells you better to lie than to admit you messed up. Number 2, the protector secret. You don't want your partner to hurt, so you withdraw things you know would stress them out, like job loss, family conflict, even a bad medical diagnosis. But in trying to shield them, you rob them of consensual emotional participation in your shared life. And 3, the ego-preserving secret. Maybe it's not even a big thing. Maybe it's just that you don't want to look weak. You don't want to cry in front of them. You don't want to tell them you didn't get that promotion, so you say nothing instead. But here's the truth. When we deny our partners access to our pain, we also deny them access to our authenticity. Here's a good quote that helps ground us real quick on this. Secrecy is a form of self-sabotage. It gives temporary control, but long-term isolation. Thank you, Dr. Esther Perel, for that quote, because that one just brought home what I just said. But to bring it home even more, I'm going to give you, my examples. I love them. I love my couples. I like to share, but of course, I'm never going to give you their real names. And I'm never going to give you just one couple story. I'm going to blend things so they fit what I'm trying to teach y'all here. We're going to call this couple Jessica and Marcus, who's been married for 14 years, who were high school sweethearts, everyone's favorite couple. But when they hit their mid-30s, Jessica started withdrawing. She became more closed off, short answers, in responses when Marcus tried to just have basic conversation with her, right? No more Sunday night conversations on the porch, which is something that they always did. When they started therapy, it took 6 sessions before Jessica finally admitted the truth. She had lost her sense of purpose. She felt like a mom machine. I don't know if some of y'all heard that, right? But she felt like a mom machine with no identity. And instead of confessing that emotional emptiness, she pretended to be okay. Marcus broke down crying, not because she felt empty, but because she didn't tell him sooner. Jessica said, "I thought hiding it would protect you from feeling like a bad husband. But really, I just felt like I couldn't be seen." Let's travel inside the mind of a secret keeper, shall we? Research from Dr. Michael Slepian at Columbia shows that harboring a secret creates mental load. Constant intrusive thoughts, right? I think I pointed that out earlier. But think of your brain tabs, right? Such as romance, bills, Wordly, then one tab labeled "do not click." I'm going to leave that there because I don't know if some of y'all caught that. Okay. But here's a quote. "Dissonance is like mental overtime. Secrecy is the unpaid shift." Thank you, Dr. Carol Tavris, because it is. But why do people keep secrets? Fear of judgment, protection, power, and control. Had this couple, Maya and Jordan, married, same-sex, interracial, mid-30s. Jordan racked up about $18K in credit card debt, starting a bakery side hustle. She's smashing cupcakes, but not those payments, y'all. Jordan says, "I'll tell Maya once I land a big wholesale contract." One secret becomes monthly statements shoved in the glove box. And guess what that turned into? stress city. Avoidant partners statistically report 2 times more significant secrets than securely attached folks. So yes, your childhood may be hiding in that locked drawer too. I want y'all to be able to grab a notebook right now. I want you to write one truth you fear revealing. Note the physical sensation, the tightness in your chest, because that's cortisol saying hi. And here's another thing. Secrets don't always come from deception. Sometimes they come from trauma. A person with childhood neglect, emotional abuse, or inconsistent parenting might carry a belief that says, if I tell the truth, people will leave. If I show you who I really am, I'll be rejected. And if I ask for help, I'll be punished. These beliefs don't disappear just because we fall in love. They follow us into marriage, into dating, and into our beds. Can I give y'all another short story? We're going to call this couple Emilio and Raphael. Emilio had never told Raphael about his previous struggles with substance use. Not because he was still using, but because he'd been clean for years and didn't want to ruin the image. Definitely not the image Raphael had of him. But after Raphael accidentally found an old sobriety coin in a drawer, Emilio broke down. I just wanted one person in my life to love me without seeing my past. And Raphael's response? Well, he said, I would have loved you either way. But now I don't just love you. I understand you. Y'all, secrets don't just protect what's hidden. They block us from receiving what we desperately need, which is companionship and even understanding. Just to be clear, ask yourself these questions and journal them if you can. What part of me am I trying to hide from my partner? What do I fear they'll feel if I tell them the truth? What would I feel relieved to finally say out loud? If I trusted them with this truth, what's the worst case scenario? What's the best case scenario? Often the best case is finally being seen. Okay, let's shift from why we keep secrets to what kind of secrets we're actually dealing with. Because here's the truth. Not every secret will destroy your relationship, but some will haunt it until it breaks. Not all harm is immediate. Some harm is subtle. Emotional erosion over time. Harm can be not what you said, but what you withheld. Harm can be unspoken resentment that festers. Harm can be the quiet look on your partner's face when they realize you didn't trust them with your truth. So when we talk about tiers of secrets, we're talking about the emotional weight, the long-term impact, and the intent behind the silence. Before I get into the tiers, if you're someone holding on to a secret and unsure what to do with it, try this. Ask yourself, what am I hiding? Why am I hiding it? And what could happen if I shared it? Example, it could sound like this. I text my ex back. I miss being wanted. They might feel betrayed. You think? I think so. But this exercise isn't about shame. It's about emotional clarity. So let's get into those tiers, shall we? All secrets aren't created equal. So we have to sort them like wine flights. So tier 1, we're going to call them the sparkling surprises. Birthday trips, proposal plans, Beyonce tickets, short-term, joyous reveals, the harmless stuff. Tier 2, we're going to call them the aged reds, which is past flings, hidden tattoos, family feuds, not destructive by itself, but context does matter. Tier 3, we're going to call it spoiled vinegar. Active affairs, hidden addictions, secret children, and high-octane betrayal. Let's add some color to this breakdown, shall we? Because I want you to really see how these tiers play out in real relationships. So I'm going to give you an example of each tier. So our tier 1, right, is Camille, who threw a surprise 40th birthday for her wife, Layla. What didn't she tell her? That her ex was helping coordinate it behind the scenes because they were still good friends? Now, this could have been tier 2 or tier 3 real quick, right? But Camille told Layla afterwards, showed her the full text chain, and explained her intentions. Layla was shocked, but more touched by the transparency after the fact. The lesson in this: if you're going to keep a secret to create joy, make sure there's no emotional residue that could be seen as betrayal. Example of tier 2, we have Marcus, who had a credit card from before he got married. He still used it for online purchases, but didn't tell his husband, Chris, because he was embarrassed about past debt. When Chris discovered it, he felt deceived. But Marcus said, it wasn't a secret, it was just mine. Chris replied to Marcus and said, you're not single anymore. Your shame is now our plan. Tier 2 secrets may be malicious, people, but they damage intimacy because they keep us emotionally siloed. In an example of tier 3, we have Samira, who's been married for 6 years, and she discovered her husband had a secret Snapchat where he flirted with multiple women. Although there was no physical cheating, but was there emotional cheating? Absolutely. And of course, what did her husband say? He said he was just talking to these other women. And she said to him, you may have been talking, but this was a version of you that I never got to meet. That's the power of tier 3 secrets. They create parallel lives. And once they're discovered, you don't just grieve the lie, you grieve the life you thought you were living. According to a 2023 study published in the Journal of Social and Personal Relationships, secrets involving deception about relationships, money, or values were 3 times more likely to cause long-term relationship strain than secrets about personal struggles, hobbies, or family history. So yes, it's what you hide and why. In some cultures, secrecy is taught as emotional discipline, though. For example, in many East Asian and West African households, emotional expression is considered immature and you're raised to keep it in until it's useful. But in romantic relationships, especially in Western contexts, where emotional openness is expected, this can come across as dishonest or even emotionally manipulative. So before you label your partner's behavior sneaky, ask, is this malicious intent or cultural conditioning? And if you're the one keeping something, ask yourself, is this about safety or shame? I want y'all to take 5 minutes. Rate the following on a 1 to 3 scale. 1 being harmless surprise, 3 being betrayal. 1, you planned a trip with friends and didn't tell your partner until the day before. 2, you lent money to your sibling behind their back. 3, you have a private IG account where you vent about your relationship. Now ask yourself, what would happen if my partner found out? Your answer reveals the tier and the impact. Let's test this with you listening at the gym or folding laundry. Hi, multitasker you are. Some of us are anyway. I'll read a scenario and you shout the tier. Wherever you are, right? Whatever you're doing. You secretly switch to non-dairy milk because your partner's lactose intolerant. Is that a harmless surprise or betrayal? 2, you still DM your ex good night emojis weekly. I don't think some of y'all need to really think about that, but maybe some of y'all do, because I know where I'm leaning towards with that answer. Okay. And the last one, you took out a second mortgage your spouse doesn't know about. But some of y'all that don't know, and I'm gonna clue y'all in on this one. We gonna just clearly say that's betrayal, but what kind of betrayal? Financial betrayal. Did y'all feel that gut check? I just want to know, because definitely tier 2 can slide into tier 3 faster than you can say Face ID failed. I'm just saying. Y'all know I'm gonna tell y'all the truth. In a 2025 Journal of Marital Therapy study, 68% of serious secrets were discovered by accident, because it clearly wasn't done by a confession. That means control over the narrative is often lost. Poetry corner time. I'm going to bring this home in a poem for y'all. I'm going to wrap this in a good poem bow for y'all. Between the lines, we refuse to say, trust wilts, petals edged in gray. Y'all thought I was going to give you the whole thing. I just gave you a little snippet, right? But I want y'all to know that secrets rot in silence. But sometimes naming them out loud, even just to yourself, is the first taste of freedom. All right, take a deep breath. Don't curse me out on that one. All right, here's where we really start pulling at the threads. You know that old saying, one lie leads to another? Well, what they didn't tell us was that one secret becomes a whole identity if you let it live long enough. We've talked about what kinds of secrets people keep, but now we need to talk about what happens next, the cascade effect. Because secrets don't stay silent. They echo, they compound, and they start demanding more lies to survive. Let's talk about what happens after the first secret gets kept. Picture this. You hide one small thing, and then before you know it, you're stuck playing emotional Jenga. Every secret you keep means another lie to support it. And suddenly, your relationship is built on toothpicks. This is what we call the domino effect. One lie equals 10 cover-ups, and 10 cover-ups equal relationship landmines. In a 2023 study by Dr. James Penny Baker at the University of Texas, it was found that people who keep significant personal secrets, we're talking major ones, not surprise parties, reported higher levels of physical symptoms like migraines, fatigue, chest tightness, and insomnia. Why? Because your body keeps score, people. Secrets raise cortisol levels, spike blood pressure, and over time, they can wear on your immune system just like emotional stress. Let me tell you about Lisa and Donnell, who were married for 11 years. Lisa kept a secret for 4 of those years that she had secretly given financial support to her estranged brother who was struggling with addiction. She told herself she didn't want to worry Donnell, who believed the brother was a lost cause. But when Donnell found the bank statements, well, he said, "It's not the money, it's the hiding. You made me feel like a stranger to your values." Ooh, the trust didn't just crack, y'all. It collapsed. And why? Because when secrets live too long, they change how we see each other. What started as just helping my brother turned into emotional erosion. Not because Donnell didn't support family, he would have, at least from what he said, but because his involvement in that truth was denied. Okay, let me say that again. Secrecy denies your partner the right to emotionally prepare. So when Donnell felt uninvolved in her truth, she denied him the proper time and space to emotionally prepare for what she was trying to do for her brother. Let that sink in, people. Did you know that keeping long-term secrets actually changes your brain's stress responses? I bet some of y'all didn't know that. But according to neuropsychologist Dr. David Eagleman, when we carry high emotional secrets, limbic system goes into chronic overdrive, meaning your body is constantly preparing for a threat that hasn't arrived yet. And of course, as I said earlier, your cortisol increases, you become hypervigilant, your memory function can even decrease because your brain is trying so hard to suppress truth. Wow, that's crazy, y'all. Translation of that, you're not just keeping a secret, you're rewiring your nervous system. Who wants to do that? I don't think I want to do that. So we got Dre and Isaiah. Dre forgot to tell Isaiah he'd been laid off. He didn't want to stress him out because Isaiah was already overwhelmed with a sick parent that he's a caregiver for. Dre figured he'd get another job soon and it wouldn't be a big deal. But weeks passed and bills got tighter and Isaiah could feel something was off. When he found the severance email, It turned from a lie of omission to a full-blown relational breakdown. Dre didn't cheat, and he didn't steal, but he altered the trajectory of their shared life without Isaiah's consent. That's the danger of small secrets. They may not break trust, but they bend it until it snaps. Let's talk about the recipient of the secret, the person who discovers it, shall we? And what their common emotional responses look like. Betrayal trauma sounds like, I feel like you've been living a double life. Self-doubt sounds like, how did I not see this coming? Hypervigilance sounds like, now I feel like I can't trust anything or anyone. And disorientation sounds like, were we even in the same relationship? This is especially true for partners who grew up in emotionally unpredictable households. For them, secrets don't just hurt, they're traumatizing. In therapy, I'll often draw a line and say, here's when the secret started. Here's when the first consequence happened. Here's when it could have been shared. And here's when it exploded. Then I asked the couple, what changed in your partner's experience at each of those points without their knowledge? This helps partners see the emotional time theft secrets can cause. If you've been keeping something because you thought, I'll handle it before it affects them, I need you to hear this. That delay may already be doing damage. Secrets are time bombs, and the longer we hold them, the harder it is to control the lie. But here's the good news. We're not here to shame you. I'm here to help you understand what's at stake, to face what's in the mirror, and to start cleaning up before things fail. But for those of you that don't know, secrets do have an expiration date. And when they finally spill, it's rarely calm. It's eruption. This segment is about that moment, the one you pray will never come, and sometimes the one you unconsciously invite by keeping it too long. Let's talk about what happens when the truth gets out, because it usually does. Sometimes it slips, sometimes someone else spills the beans, and sometimes your partner knows but says nothing because they want to see if you'll confess. If you're listening to this and you're keeping something right now, ask yourself, how would I want to find out? Because whether it's a confession or a discovery, there's always an explosion that can sound like, how long have you been lying to me? Was our relationship even real? You made me feel crazy for asking. Some of y'all probably heard some of those before. I want to give y'all a quote by Dr. Shirley Glass. Yes, a legend in betrayal trauma research, that says the hurt partner not only grieves the loss of the relationship, but the loss of the identity they believe they had within it. Let that sink in. That quote hit hard, people, because betrayal isn't just about the act, it's about the fracture of identity. When the secret comes out, your partner doesn't just question what happened. They questioned, who have I been talking to all this time? How many of our memories were real? And was I ever emotionally safe? And here's something most people don't talk about. Even small secrets can cause big rupture when they're in contradiction to someone's core emotional need, like safety, loyalty, honesty, or even security. Y'all know I'm about to give y'all an example. We're going to call this couple Aisha and Terrell, who were married for 2 years. They each had kids from previous relationships, and things were going well until Aisha found out Terrell had been having ongoing conversations with his ex about possibly reconciling before they got married. He never acted on it, but he also never told her. And of course, Terrell's defense was, I chose you. Why does it matter now? And of course, Aisha's response, because I planned my life around a version of the truth that wasn't complete. And that's the thing, people. When truth explodes, it doesn't just cause pain, It causes a fundamental reframe of the past. According to betrayal trauma specialist Dr. Jennifer Fred, when a person experiences a betrayal by someone they rely on for support, their brain goes into survival shutdown. What does that look like? Numbness, disbelief, paranoia, panic, and of course, identity confusion. This is especially true for partners who grew up in households where safety was already inconsistent. A betrayal isn't just about now, it reactivates the then. So when your partner starts asking 50 questions, pulling back emotionally, or checking your tone more closely, it's not just overreacting. It's relational PTSD. And for those of you who don't know what PTSD means or stands for, it stands for post-traumatic stress disorder. I teach couples to think of betrayal like an earthquake. I know you're like, what is she even talking about here? Well, I'm going to break it down for you in 4 parts, of course. So, first one, epicenter. This is the moment where truth hits. Then comes the shock wave. Where your partner's first reaction comes about. That may look like anger, sadness, silence, panic. Then after that comes the aftershock, that secondary emotion, which is grief, confusion, and withdrawal. And then we end it with, of course, what happens in every earthquake? Tremors. Those triggers that show up later, like memories, flashbacks, anniversaries, songs. Y'all know where I'm going. Each phase requires care, not defense, people. So if you're the one who held the secret, your job isn't to rush them through their healing. Your job is to sit in the ruins with them, even if you drop the bomb. Poetry pause here. Let me read a piece from The Quiet Between Us, one of the most emotional pieces in someone's book. Just throwing it out there as an early hint. And no, you don't have access to it yet, but maybe you will one day. So here it goes. You didn't lie with your mouth, but with your silence, you watched me build dreams on words you never said. I want y'all to take a breath on that one, y'all, because that was heavy. That silence in relationships when things are fine, but not real, it's often louder than a scream. And when the secret finally lands, even if it's months or years later, it's like the silence got replaced with thunder. Fast, violent, and unexpected. I want y'all to ask yourselves, am I keeping something right now that removes my partner's ability to make an informed decision? If this truth came out tomorrow, what part of their trust in me would crack? If the answer scares you, don't panic. Just sit with it. Write it down. Bring it to therapy or relationship coaching, whichever one you're in. But also take it to God if you believe. Then ask, what needs to happen before I bring it to them? Meaning your partner. I want you to drop a comment on my IG today, if you can, on this. Have you ever found something out you wish you hadn't? Or kept something you still haven't revealed? You don't have to name names, but I see you. And I will hold space for you on my IG. All right. So now we know what it feels like when the truth erupts. But here's the thing. Not all secrets are personal. Some are inherited. Some are cultural contracts we never agreed to, but we still follow them. So in this part of my segment, we're going to explore a truth that many of us carry silently. Secrets don't start in the relationship. They start in the system. Family, culture, faith, gender roles. Yes, let's talk about culturally specific secrets and how generational conditioning, family pride, and social shame create silence that feels protective until it's not. In family systems theory, therapists talk about multi-generational transmission. That's a fancy term for, if grandmom kept secrets to survive, mom likely learned to do the same. And now you're keeping secrets to stay loved. But here's the twist. What once protected the family now poisons the relationship. So while you're trying to build something healthy with your partner, you might be dragging an entire unspoken rule book behind you. I'm going to give you all an example of this, of course. We're going to call this couple Alana and Juan. Alana was raised by her grandmother, a fierce, church-going Black woman who believed in what happens in this house stays in this house. So when Alana's mother struggled with mental illness, it was never discussed, just managed quietly. Years into marriage, Alana started facing depression of her own. Instead of telling Juan, she masked it, smiled through it, cooked through it. When Juan finally confronted her about the emotional distance, she said, "I didn't want you to see me weak." And he replied, "Weakness isn't what disconnects us, isolation does." It wasn't a secret born of betrayal. It was born of Black generational survival. Let's go deeper. Some of us grew up in households where secrecy was survival. Black families, immigrant families, religious households. Of course, yes, there are layers here. And in many cultures, don't air dirty laundry is the law, not just the saying. Secrets aren't just personal, they're generational. I've had clients say things like, "My mama didn't tell me who my real dad was until I was 28. My dad had a whole second family we didn't find out about until the funeral. I didn't know my partner was trans until we got engaged because their parents didn't accept it." Let me introduce Danielle and Marcus, a queer Black couple in the South. Shall I? Danielle was out, Marcus wasn't. For the first 2 years of their relationship, Marcus told his church and his family that Danielle was just his roommate. Danielle stayed quiet for a while until she couldn't take it anymore. When she confronted him, his response was, "I love you, but I can't lose my community." Wow. Her response, though, she said, "You already lost me by pretending I didn't exist." That kind of secrecy isn't just heartbreaking, it's identity erasing. For LGBTQ plus folks, secrets often mean keeping love locked away, not because it's wrong, but because the culture surrounding them has convinced them it's unworthy of being seen. And in a relationship that creates deep dissonance, how do I show up fully for you when I'm forced to be partial to everyone else? I'll let that one sit there for a second. In many East Asian cultures, especially within first generation immigrant families, emotional expression is seen as selfish or immature. Therapist Yuki Fujimoto writes, "My clients often hide depression, sexual orientation, or even romantic relationships from their parents. Not because they're dishonest, but because they were taught that emotional truth threatens group harmony." So when these clients enter romantic relationships, especially with Western partners, they're labeled secretive, cold, or emotionally unavailable. But it's not about love. It's about deep cultural programming. I'm going to give you an example of this, what this looks like. Through Anna and Diego. Diego's undocumented status was a secret he kept from Anna for 2 whole years. He was afraid she'd leave, or worse, see him as less of a man. When Anna found out, she didn't get angry, but she grieved not being trusted, because she said, "I've been building dreams with someone who didn't believe I could hold their truth." It wasn't about immigration. It was about emotional betrayal through omission. A good therapy tool, like to call the cultural compass. This is an exercise I give couples from different cultural backgrounds or religious upbringings. And it sounds like this. What was your family's relationship with privacy and secrets? Who in your family was allowed to express vulnerability? What did your culture teach you about asking for help or admitting mistakes? And what secrets were considered normal where you came from? Then I ask, are those rules helping you in this relationship or hurting you? When secrets are tied to cultural shame, it's not a betrayal of the partner. It's a betrayal of self. The healing work has to begin with unlearning what we were taught to hide. Y'all, culture complicates confession, but it doesn't excuse the impact of concealment. Secrets don't start in relationships. They start in the stories we've been told about what love is supposed to look like. And sometimes healing the relationship means healing the cultural wound beneath the silence. So if you've ever judged yourself or your partner for not being fully open, I challenge you, instead of asking, why won't you share? Ask, what taught you to hide? That shift, well, that's how you create emotional safety in a space where shame once lived. So, we've talked about cultural silence, generational wounds, and emotional avoidance, but now let's go even deeper into philosophy of truth. Because even after everything we've unpacked, you might still be thinking, okay, but what if telling the truth would do more harm than good? This is where love meets ethics. And let me tell you, this ain't black and white. So let's explore it, shall we? Is it ever ethical to keep a secret from someone you love? Or is withholding always a form of control? Welcome to the moral battlefield of relationships. Imagine this: your partner cheated 10 years ago. It never happened again. You both built a life, a family, a home. They love you deeply. They're tormented with guilt, but think, if I tell them now, I'll destroy everything. What's more ethical? Truth or peace? I'm going to let y'all sit with that for a second. There are two major ethical theories that guide our decision making. The ontological ethics, which is do the right thing because it's the right thing, always, period. In other words, lying is wrong, even if it protects someone's feelings. Utilitarian ethics, which says, do what causes the least harm or the most good. In this view, if keeping a secret avoids emotional devastation, it might be justified. And guess what? Both perspectives show up in therapy every day, and relationship coaching too. Now, let's stir the pot a little bit here. Is it always wrong to keep a secret? Let's talk ethics. What if you cheated on your partner 10 years ago, deeply regretted it, and have never repeated it? Is it more ethical to confess or to protect their peace? Well, Brené Brown says, vulnerability sounds like truth and feels like courage. Truth and courage aren't always comfortable, but they're never weakness. Let's debate it, shall we? My therapy hat says, honesty builds the relationship from the inside out. And my coaching hat says, timing and intention matter. Some confessions heal, some destroy unnecessarily. I'm just wondering what some of y'all are thinking here. Would some of y'all say, tell me everything even if it hurts? Or would some of y'all say, protect my peace, only confess if it affects me directly? And here's what's wild about that. Both of those statements would be correct, would be right. Because when you're the person who's been lied to, you might say, I'd rather be hurt by the truth than comforted by a lie. But when you're the one who made the mistake, the thought of causing that pain can feel cruel, not courageous. Let's look at it in action, shall we? Through Naomi and Khalil. Yes, that's what I named them. This couple's been married about 8 years when Naomi found out that Khalil had a digital-only affair. He never met the woman and never planned to, but they flirted online for months. He confessed only after the woman threatened to DM Naomi herself. In therapy, Khalil said, I almost told her 10 times, but I didn't want to destroy what we had. Naomi's response was, you didn't protect me. You protected yourself from my reaction. Love that response, Naomi, because that's the ethical line right there. If your truth shields your partner from trauma, that's one thing. But if it only shields you from discomfort, that's not ethics. That's ego. In queer relationships, especially where one or both partners are not publicly out, secrecy is often tied to survival. Take Jess and Amira, for example. Jess was out to her friends, but not to her family. Amira had been the roommate for 2 years. Amira kept quiet until it broke her. She told Jess, I don't need your family's approval, but I need you to stop hiding me. So what's the ethical dilemma here? Jess keeping the relationship secret to protect herself from disownment, or Amira demanding emotional visibility in private, even if public acceptance isn't possible. These are the tensions couples face when ethics and identity collide. If you're stuck on whether to reveal something, ask yourself, am I keeping the secret to protect their emotional health or to avoid their emotional response? Does this secret affect their safety, consent, or future planning? And if they found out from someone else, how would that change the outcome? And finally, would I want to know if the roles were reversed? If your answer is yes, then withholding isn't protection, it's power hoarding. There's no universal rule, but there's a universal truth. Secrets reshape how trust is earned, lost, and rebuilt. Y'all, truth telling isn't always about right or wrong. Sometimes it's about timing. Sometimes it's about emotional readiness. Sometimes it's about mutual growth before you drop a bomb no one is ready to hold. So if you're carrying something heavy, ask your therapist or relationship coach. Write it in a journal. Bring it to prayer. Talk it out with a friend who won't shame you and who can be impartial. And then ask yourself, is this secret saving the relationship or simply postponing its breakdown? Because when it's time to tell the truth, it shouldn't be a grenade. It should be a bridge. I'm going to let that sink in. Have you told the truth, or did the truth just come out? And now your relationship feels like a mosaic, shattered pieces, sharp edges, old colors, and now you're wondering, can we even put this back together? Let me be honest with you. Repair is not a return to what was. It's the creation of something new, something honest, earned, and slow. So if you're here because a secret exploded and you want to know what comes next, this part is for you to put in your toolkit. So let's talk about rebuilding trust, one truth at a time. So if you confessed or got caught, now what? Yeah, we need to talk about repair. Not the it's fine, babe patchwork. I'm talking trust reconstruction. There are 5 key stages to rebuilding trust after a secret explodes. The first one is acknowledgement. Yes, full ownership. No gaslighting. No, I didn't tell you because I didn't want to hurt you. This is where you gotta own it. Take accountability. 2 is remorse. Not performative guilt, actual regret. Demonstrated with some consistency, people. 3, transparency. Yes, full access if needed to your bank account, to your phone passwords, your emails, your DMs, all the above. Number 4, time plus therapy or relationship coaching. Yes, weekly or monthly sessions, depending on where you are, using different techniques that therapy and coaching provide to help you get through any present trauma and to work on some patience. Number 5 is recommit. Yes, it's definitely going to take a daily effort, new rituals, and rebuilding emotional safety to get you on a new track and to stay away from the old track. Let me take you deeper into these stages because this isn't a checklist work. It's soul work. All right. Stage 1, acknowledgement. This is more than I'm sorry. It's I see the damage I caused and I take full accountability. But here's what not to say. Don't say, I didn't mean to hurt you and I didn't think it would matter. Instead, what you need to say is, I understand that what I did broke your sense of safety. I was wrong to withhold it. And you have every right to feel betrayed. I don't expect immediate forgiveness. Therapy tip here: use restorative language, not defensive language. Trust me, it works. Your stage 2 of remorse: guilt says, I feel bad. Remorse says, I want to make it right. So real remorse looks like taking initiative to seek therapy or relationship coaching, stepping into discomfort without asking for emotional rewards, apologizing more than once, because your partner's pain won't disappear after one talk and one apology. What your partner needs to see is not performance, but a pattern. I know that flew over some people's heads. Stage 3, transparency. Some partners need full access to texts, calendars, passwords. Others just need consistent honesty moving forward. This is not forever. But in the early stages of repair, transparency is oxygen. So you need to ask, what will help you feel safe right now? What access or updates do you need? Not as control, but as comfort. That's definitely for my couples dealing with some infidelity secrets. Stage 4, time plus therapy and relationship coaching. Healing has no fast forward button. You can't rush your partner's grief. You can only walk beside it. And what does that look like? What are some tools that can help? Individual therapy, which is to help process shame and some self-sabotaging behaviors. Couples therapy to rebuild secure emotional connection. Relationship coaching to have live interaction with a coach that can help you in real time work through real life issues in the moment. And if you want to get specific with techniques that therapists use, EMDR or trauma work, especially after a relational betrayal, is something that can be useful. So don't just say you want healing. Make sure you invest in it. In stage 5, recommitment. You don't go back to normal. You write new vows. Some couples create rituals of reconnection, such as weekly truth talks, which is taking at least 15 minutes of time to open up to one another and having uninterrupted dialogue. Joint journaling, yes, that's a thing, where one of you writes an entry and then the other one goes back to read it and puts a response underneath it, and or each of you write an entry and read them aloud together. And date nights, which definitely can be centered around rebuilding emotional intimacy and not just fun. Remember, rebuilding isn't just about stopping the behavior. It's about restoring the relationship culture. I know y'all want me to give y'all some examples here. I'm going to give you Carlos and Dana, who've been engaged for 7 years. Yes, I said engaged for 7 years. Don't judge them, y'all. Carlos had a brief affair with a coworker but ended it. He kept it secret until the coworker DM'd Dana screenshots months later. Carlos begged for forgiveness. Dana said, "Don't tell me you're sorry, show me." They committed to therapy and relationship coaching afterwards. And of course, they created a transparency plan, shared calendars, weekly emotional check-ins, and a shared journal ritual. 2 years later, they're married with boundaries and brutal honesty. Their story is powerful because it shows us this truth. You can rebuild after betrayal, but the tools you use must be different than the ones you used to build before. You can't just say, let's move on. You have to say, let's move different. I'm going to give you another couple. Seela and Rowan. Seela had been dealing with gender dysphoria privately, but never opened up to Rowan about it, even though it was affecting intimacy. Rowan, meanwhile, thought they were drifting emotionally. When Seela finally shared their truth, it was terrifying. But instead of anger, Rowan said, "I'm hurt you didn't trust me, but I'm honored you're trusting me now." They built new language together, new affirmations, and new ways to love each other's evolving identities. That's what repair looks like. It doesn't deny the pain, it reorients the partnership around truth based compassion. If you want to feel safe with your partner again, both of you have to answer the following. What do y'all need more from each other? What do y'all need less from each other? What is it that you need when you feel triggered? And what is one thing that gives you hope? This creates a framework for emotional re-entry instead of repeated emotional explosions. The lesson here: repair isn't about returning to normal. It's about creating a new normal that holds space for truth and trust. If you're listening right now and wondering if it's even worth it to try, let me leave you with this. Just because something is broken doesn't mean it's worthless. Sometimes broken things are the ones that let the light in. That light is truth. That light is courage. And that light is you saying, I want to stay, but only if we stay with truth. Okay, I want y'all to deep breathe on this one, because I'm about to switch it up on y'all. We've walked through what it means to repair after truth erupts, but now we need to pause and ask a different kind of question. What if you haven't told the truth yet? What if you're still holding something? And what if you genuinely don't know if telling the truth will help or just hurt? Well, this part is for the folks standing on the edge of confession, the ones who've been carrying something heavy and wondering if saying it out loud is an act of freedom or an act of selfishness. Let's talk about how to discern when a truth needs to be told and when it needs to be processed elsewhere first. Confessing is saying, here's something I didn't do, or thought that might affect you. Processing is saying, here's something I'm still figuring out and I don't yet know the meaning or impact. Not every secret deserves a spotlight, but every secret deserves a reckoning. That reckoning starts with you, not your partner. So if you're unsure whether to reveal something, let's walk through some clarity checkpoints. Okay, let's go inward. You're holding a secret right now. It's not a huge lie, but it's not harmless either. Here's your gut checklist before you confess. 1. Am I confessing to relieve my guilt or to deepen our trust? An example of that is you kissed someone on a work trip years ago and never saw them again. You're flooded with shame, but your relationship is thriving. Ask yourself, am I sharing this to unburden myself or because my partner deserves full truth to make decisions in our relationship? Number 2, does this secret affect my partner's health, safety, or emotional well-being? Example, you've hidden your current financial debt. If they're making long-term plans with you, like buying a house or starting a family, your secret impacts their future. 3, will this bring clarity or just chaos? And an example of this is you once had a minor flirtation with someone your partner doesn't know. It ended quickly, no emotional ties, no continued connection. Is your need to share about honesty or anxiety? I'm gonna take this walk with me, y'all. 4, have I processed this in therapy, relationship coaching, or self-reflection? Don't bring a still bleeded wound to your partner. Bandage it first. Understand your why before expecting them to help with the what. I'm going to let that one sit there. And 5, what am I afraid will happen if I tell them? Well, fear of judgment is natural, but fear of being truly known is what keeps us in emotional hiding. All right, can I use Renee and Damon for a second to bring this home? Renee had an emotional affair with a coworker. Texts, phone calls, even some I misused. She ended it and never told Damon. 6 years had passed, and they rebuilt their marriage in therapy and relationship coaching, but she never confessed. When she finally did, at the end of relationship coaching, it wasn't out of panic. It was out of readiness. She said, I want to build the rest of our life on something real, not on what I got away with. Damon cried, But after days of silence, he said, "You didn't ruin us. You gave me a choice, and I'm still choosing us." That's the nuance, y'all. Timing, integrity, and emotional maturity. Before you share a secret with your partner, practice in a safe space. Write it down as if you were telling them. Read it out loud to yourself or your therapist or your coach. Observe your tone. Is it blame shifting, defensive, or justified, or over justified? This lets you rehearse the risk. So when the moment comes, you can be present, not panic. Can we do a quick imaginary split? Yes, my therapist voice versus my coach voice. So, in my therapist version, I would say, secrets are often the language of fear. Before you confess, ask if your inner child is trying to protect your adult self from shame. My coach voice says, "You're grown. If the secret affects your partner's right to choose their future, you have to tell them. No delay, no sugarcoating, show up or stay stagnant." I know that was a little heavy. Different lenses, right? But both are valid. You get to choose which path fits your truth, though. If you're unsure, try a letter exercise. Write the confession as if you're sharing it. Don't send it, just read it out loud to yourself. Listen to how it sounds. Then decide if your partner deserves to hear it or if you need to unpack it further. Sometimes secrets are signals, not sins. If you're hiding something, ask what it says about your needs, shame, or boundaries. Secrets don't just affect the other person, they corrode you from the inside. Let me say this to your soul. If the truth will destroy the illusion but create alignment, it's worth it. If the truth will only serve your ego and steal someone else's peace, sit with it longer. Secrets lose power the moment you face them, but that doesn't mean they lose consequence. So move wisely, move slowly, and move with love. Whew, y'all, if you made it this far, give yourself a round of applause because today's topic has been layered, but honest and full of gray areas. And now it's your turn. Let's dive into the real, unfiltered questions from, yes, our community. These were sent through Instagram and TikTok, and some were even brought up during couples coaching calls and therapy sessions. Yes, it's time for the listener lightning round. Let's go. I'm adding it in today. So here are some of the questions that were brought to me. Here's one from IG. I hid my infertility diagnosis from my wife because I was ashamed. Is it too late to tell her? My answer to that? It's never too late. But tell her with compassion, not an apology. Let her grieve what you didn't share. Let that one sink in. Because it's more than just about the apology. It's the compassion that is needed. Here's one from TikTok, my TikTok listener. My partner still talks to his ex every few months and doesn't tell me. Is that a secret? Well, my answer to that, if it's hidden, it's a secret. If it's open, it's transparency. And ask yourself if you'd feel safe doing the same. Here's another one that I got from TikTok. I've been hiding debt, but I'm trying to fix it. Do I wait until it's handled? My answer to that, bring them into the process. Don't just present them the mess or the solution. Invite them into your growth. And the last one from a session. I'm bisexual, but I've never told my husband. We've been married 4 years. I'm not cheating. I'm just scared he'll think I'm hiding more. Well, that one was a loaded one. And it's such an important and deeply human question. So my response to that. First, being bisexual doesn't mean you're unfaithful. But not being known by the person you love can feel like infidelity to yourself. My advice? Process the disclosure first in therapy, especially around why you've been afraid to share this part of your identity. When you're ready to tell them, let it be an invitation into your identity, not a confession of guilt. because your truth doesn't diminish your love. It expands it. I'm going to give y'all one more question. I'm going to throw it in there. This one came from TikTok. I read my partner's diary. I feel so guilty, but what I found hurt me. Do I tell them? Well, you kind of already crossed the boundary already, right? But now you're also carrying a wound. But here's the layered truth. If the diary revealed something current and relationship impacting, such as cheating, contempt, emotional detachment, you'll need to name what you saw and own how you saw it. But don't use the information as a weapon. Come in humble, transparent, and vulnerable. Say, I invaded your privacy and I was wrong for doing that. But what I read broke me. Can we talk about it? Truth and healing start with how we enter, not just what we say. All right. If you're listening and holding on to something right now, open your notes app or journal and complete the following. The truth I've avoided sharing is what I fear most about sharing. It is what I hope might happen after I share it is, and what I know about myself from this secret is. Then take a breath. You've already started the process. So what if you never find out? What if they never tell you? What if the secret is the thing keeping them up at night? Every relationship holds some version of a locked drawer. The question isn't whether there are secrets. It's whether you've built a relationship safe enough for the truth to survive. Here's my final thought. Truth doesn't always set you free. Sometimes it simply makes you honest enough to love better. This episode has taken us through emotional fire and back again. Let's recap what we've learned. Not all privacy is betrayal, but secrecy can rot even the most loving relationship. Generational silence runs deep. Cultural survival taught us to keep secrets, but love teaches us to break the cycle. Confession isn't always clean, but if it's rooted in empathy, not ego, it can be healing. Repair is possible, but only when both people are committed to rebuilding with honesty and care. And maybe the biggest takeaway, the truth doesn't just set you free. It lets your partner love the real you, not the curated version you think they wanted. To the person listening who still hasn't told the truth, I want you to know you're not evil, you're not broken, you're just afraid. And fear is human, but you deserve a love that can hold your honesty, even if it cracks first. And to the one who's been lied to, I see your pain, I honor your rage, I respect your decision, whether you stay, rebuild, or walk away, because you deserve love without wondering if you're the only one telling the truth. So, for my listeners, my couples out there, and even my single ones, don't forget, if this episode moved you, helped you, challenged you, do all the things. Subscribe to my YouTube channel at Hearts Wine from Hearts Distractions. Visit my website, www.aliciasdistractions.com. Go out and grab my poetry book, Distractions of the Heart, on Amazon. And of course, follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook for, all the good content, all the spill, all the controversy. But I want to thank you all for spending this vulnerable, challenging, and necessary episode with me. If you cried, breathed deeper, or had an aha moment, then we're going to say that this was your space today, and you're not alone. Until then, be honest with yourself, be gentle with your partner, and never be afraid to pour truth into your cup, even if it stings first and pours out a little bit of wine. I'll see you then. Until next time, don't let the wine distract you from the truth. Cheers.